Howdy y'all, Christi here with Little Salty Homesteader. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a quick garden update, show you some things that are going on, kind of let you know what's gonna go on with the planting situation that is actually happening next week. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so first things first, the third bed is in. You can see it is not filled yet. I do have some branches, some shredded, junk mail, some brown like packing paper and stuff in there. My husband is going to be mowing today and I'll be putting all those clippings in there as well. I'm just trying to get a good base so that I'm not having to purchase all of that soil because that bed is 11.5 foot long. So with all three beds being placed here, this is my tomato patch. This is where the tomatoes are going to be planted. Each of these, the tomatoes will be in the front and the back of each bed with companion plants and flowers and herbs and things down the middle. This one, the tomatoes are going to be down the back, and then along the front will be tomatillos and eggplants with companion plants and flowers and herbs and things down the middle. So I did the math, calculating 18 inches apart for each tomato plant within each bed. So this row, each plant will be 18 inches, and then that row, each plant will be 18 inches apart, and they're gonna be kind of staggered like this. And so 15 tomato plants will fit in each of these beds, so that's 30 total, and then 6 more in this, so 36 tomato plants total. Whew, that sounds like a lot, but we'll see if it's enough. Now these two raised beds in the front is going to have sweet peppers. Now those can be planted 12 inches apart. So 9 peppers will fit in each bed, so 18 total for the sweet peppers. Along the back will be the okra. It's similar to last year. If you saw last year's garden photos or tours at all, it's kind of basically the exact same layout. I do still need to amend these beds, of course, add some more soil. They're not ready to plant in yet. Just walking through my plan. This quad here, this is going to be different squashes. Now we get squash vine borers awful here. I mean, like, I think I have successfully managed to keep a squash plant alive for 26 days or something because of the squash bugs. So I'm going to be companion planting nasturtiums and icicle radish within each zucchini plant space to try to slow down the onslaught of squash, vine borers, and squash bugs. This green stalk here, I've already mentioned in last week's garden tour, I think, that this is going to have hot peppers. This will hold 30 plants. If that sounds crazy to you, it's okay. We eat a lot of spicy things here. I want to make my own, like, crushed red pepper flakes and ground cayenne powder and all of that stuff. So I need all of the pepper plants. So 30 are going here, and I have a few more that are going to go on. Let me zoom my way around here. I have 4 more pepper plants that are going to go on this side. The reason why they're going to go on this side is because this is going to get the afternoon shade as that sun moves over. So hopefully they don't like fry. That was part of the problem I experienced last year. So habanero, lemon habanero, and I think I'm going to put an Aleppo pepper plant in here as well. So I almost have 4 empty pockets ready, so it won't be too bad trying to get that ready for planting. Doggo was scratching at the door. Also, since the garden tour video, you will see that I did some uppotting here on a lot of different things. So here you can see amaranth, marigolds, snapdragons, feverfew. That one needs a little bit of water. That is all up potted. Zinnias are all up potted. Hey buddy, in the way. Uh-oh. Eggplants I put into solo cups, just to give them a little bit more root room because they grow pretty quickly once they get going. Basils have been up potted, nasturtiums have been up potted, and you can see we have a couple pretty little flowers there. All of the tomatoes have been moved into solo cups, and the peppers are still trucking along in their good healthy soil, so I didn't up pot those yet. I'm not too concerned about it, although I do see some blooms that I'm going to pick off because I don't want them to focus their energy on fruit yet. I want them to focus their energy on root growth. Okay, so this is well over 64 pepper plants because I have 4 more over there. Okay, anyway, all of the tomatoes, once I got them into solo cups, they didn't fit in the trays very well, so I have them in these like plastic, you know, storage crates or whatever, and that's working pretty well. They're easy to carry in and out. Like I'll have to take these in tonight because of storms coming, and then I can leave them out completely after that until I plant them next week. Okay, I wanted to flip the camera around to kind of talk to you guys about how I am determining the plants that I'm keeping out of all of those, and then the plants that I'm going to be giving away. I always plant extra plants. I like sharing. One of my, you know, goals in life is to make sure that there's a gardener in every family, at least one. And so I always plant extra. I have some extras that are going to my sister, and then I have extras going to my in-laws, and then some other extras going to my sister-in-law. And I'm not sure what will be left after that. I have some tomatoes that are kind of up in the air on, you know, where they're gonna go and if anybody's going to take them or whatever. But let me show you what I did. There's a little bit of method to the madness. This is honestly the most organized that I've ever been. Usually I am figuring it out on planting day as I'm trying to plant it. But I came out and I did an inventory of each tomato that is growing, each tomato variety, and how many plants I have of each variety. So like, for example, the cherry tomatoes that I got from my pawpaw, I have 4 of those plants. I'm keeping 2 and I'm giving 2 to my sister. After that, I went and I figured out which 36 plants I wanted. Obviously 2 of those are going to be pawpaw's cherry, so I had 34 left to figure out, you know, how many of each variety I wanted to grow. Some of the plants in my inventory I only had 1 of, so they automatically stay with me. I'm not going to give away the plant that I planted for myself. And then I also went ahead and plotted out which bed they're going to go into. So I have 3 beds for the tomato patch. The row up against the house is the back row, and then the second row is the middle row, and then the third row that I just added is the front row slash bed. So I wrote down where each of these tomatoes is going to go, and the reason why I mapped it out the way that I did is sleepy dog. So the reason why I mapped it out the way that I did is because I've read this year that the larger beefsteak and larger ox heart varieties require the most sunlight in order to ripen fully and get the proper size or whatever, and I hadn't done that in previous years. I just kind of stuck them where I wanted them. So I purposely put those really big tomatoes in the front bed so that they would get the most sun, because that's the last one that gets the afternoon shade. And then the cherry tomatoes I put in the bed up against the house, and then the middle one is going to have like slicers and some paste tomatoes, and then, you know, any other tomatoes that are left over that didn't go into the front or back beds. So after I did all of that, because that seems really intense to me. After I did all of that, then I wrote down what was extra and how many of each plant I had, or how many of each variety I had extra. So Italian heirloom, I have 2 extra. I'm actually unsure where those are gonna go at this point. But I wrote down, you know, the ones that are going to my sister, the ones that are going to my in-laws, and then the ones that I think my sister-in-law is going to want. And I'll also send her the list of like some of these, you know, just regular red tomato varieties, because she likes growing unusual stuff like I do. So I gave her like all the fun colorful ones that I had left over. And then, you know, so I'll send her the list of the regular red varieties, see if she wants any of those. If not, I'll probably just put them on my porch and post in the neighborhood group saying, hey, come grab these, they're on my porch. I've done that in years past and they don't even last an hour. Then I did the same thing for my peppers. I came out and I did an inventory on all those pepper plants, all 68 or so of them. And then, yes, 68. And then I broke it up into, or whenever I was doing the inventory, I broke it up into the hot pepper and the sweet pepper. So that way I would know, okay, I'm only keeping 18 of the sweet, and then I'm only keeping 34 of the hot. And then I wrote down what was left and kind of mapped out who I'm giving what to for these as well. After all of that, I went to my seedtime.us account and I pulled up the layout and I started plotting everything out within there, because I wanted to see kind of visually how intensely planted these beds are going to be. Because remember, I have stuff in the front and back of each bed, and then down the middle is going to have like companion plants and stuff. So I went in and I put several of the different companion plants, nasturtiums, marigolds, basil, and then I'm also going to be planting dill and calendula as companion plants, and then of course the icicle radish around the squash. So I kind of put all that, I put most of that in. I don't think I have the calendula and the dill in yet, but what I'm going to do is around this point I'm going to insert a screenshot of that layout view so you can kind of see how crazy this garden is hopefully going to look pretty soon. The reason why I am putting my tomatoes and my peppers in the ground next week, even though it's not April yet, is because it gets so hot so fast here that I want to make sure that my tomatoes have a fighting chance to actually produce some fruits before it's consistently over 95 degrees. Especially those big like beefsteak and oxheart varieties that tend to have 1 pound plus size tomatoes on them. I want to make sure that I'm at least able to harvest some, or you know, more than 1 or 2 off of each plant. But I will very quickly kind of give you guys a very fast rundown of the tomato varieties that I'm growing and what I can possibly remember about them. I apologize if this video gets really rambly. I like words. So I'm going to just quickly go through this list. It's not in any sort of order other than the order that I picked up the plant and read the tag. So the first one is the cherry tomato that I got from my pawpaw. Obviously that's a cherry tomato. It's indeterminate. The first year that I grew it, my cherry plants were probably 12 feet tall. I mean, they went up and over, and I had like stakes in the ground for them to just run across because there was no controlling them. They were wild. The next one is a sakura cherry. Typically this one is grown in a greenhouse. However, because mine does not have airflow in it, I'm going to attempt it outside, see how it does. It is also an indeterminate variety. It has really cool like cascading clusters of tomatoes, not as much as like Barry's crazy cherry, especially since this is a red variety, but I do want to try and see if I can get Sakura to do as well outside as it would perform in a greenhouse. The next one is the Italian heirloom. Unfortunately, different seed companies will show Italian heirloom to be a different type of tomato. The seeds that I have are an Oxheart variety, so they're huge. In years past, I have consistently gotten well over 1 pound fruits from them. I mean, they're massive, pretty flavorful. Oxhearts tend to be more on the meaty side, less seeds, so they're fantastic to use in sauce and salsas. The next one is Druzhba, which is a mini beefsteak variety, also indeterminate. Giant Crimson is a variety from M.I. Gardner. He actually brought the seeds back to life, so to speak, from seeds from his grandfather's shadow box. So kind of a cool story there. Those are an indeterminate variety. These are a solid producer for me. They last well into the heat of the summer. So I try to grow them every year. They're red. They're, you know, nothing special like flavor wise or anything, but they are a consistent producer, lots of fruit. And then the next variety is Texas Star. If I remember correctly, this is a yellow and red bicolor tomato. I'm 99% sure. It is a large beefsteak variety. I had okay success with it last year. Now granted, I can't really base any of my tomato success on last year's garden because of the rodent issue that we had. But that one's going to be placed in the front bed because it's such big tomatoes. It is a Texan variety. It was bred here to thrive in our conditions. So we'll see. The next variety is Arkansas Traveler. This is supposed to be slightly more heat resistant. It is a red indeterminate variety. I am growing a ton of red tomatoes this year for salsa, sauce, to, you know, pizza sauce, diced, you know, just canned tomato things, because I don't want to weird out my family with like weird colored, you know, different colored tomatoes in the jarred products that I'm trying to do. So a lot of red going on. Arkansas Traveler, like I said, indeterminate red variety, just your all-around basic slicer, supposed to be more heat tolerant. We'll see, because it gets hot here. Giant Syrian, this is also supposed to be Texas friendly. I grew it last year. Like I said, I can't base any success on last year's tomato harvest because it was such a weird, bad rodent year as far as tomatoes go. That one is a red indeterminate variety. Now, the thing with indeterminates is if you can keep the plant healthy until the temps cool back down, you'll be able to trigger the plant into setting more fruit and you'll get more tomatoes. The determinate varieties, they kind of set everything at once and then they're done. You can pull them out of the ground and plant something else if you would like to. If you are a heavy duty canner, that would be a good option for you, is determinate, because then you can can everything at once, pull them out of the ground, get new ones in, kind of start the process over, instead of with indeterminates, you're kind of waiting for everything, you know, to have enough to be able to can. That is a big bee. Okay, so the next variety is one of my favorites, Thorburns Terracotta. This is like a terracotta orange slicer. I got some pretty decent sized fruits off of it last year. The flavor it's really good. I love this tomato. I am always going to try to grow this one. It is a semi-determinate, so I take that to mean that I shouldn't prune it, but it's going to continue to give fruit for a while. I'm not really sure. If anybody knows what semi-determinate means in tomato terms, comment below so that I can learn, so we can all learn, because I'm not 100% sure what that even means. I've been treating it like an indeterminate that I don't prune, but maybe that's not correct. The next one is Opalka. This is a red paste tomato, so it's going to be shaped quite a lot like your Roma tomato, but if I remember correctly, it has kind of a pointy end, and it's bigger than like a Roma. The next one is actually Roma. These seeds were from my pawpaw, I don't typically like Roma tomatoes, but I'm growing them to kind of feel that connection with him, and because they're a paste tomato, they're fantastic for sauce uses, salsa, those type of things. The next one is Marglobe. This is a determinate variety tomato that it's actually round and it's like slightly bigger than a cherry, so like cocktail size, I guess. That plant that I grew last year was an outstanding producer. It was really prolific, so I'm growing it again for the same reason. I think that these seeds I actually got for free from Mary's Heirloom Seeds with an order that I had placed. They didn't just send me free seeds. I placed an order that I paid for, and that was like a bonus. Hey, thanks for supporting my small business. Anyway, determinate, red. I want to say it's like cocktail size, to be quite honest. The next one is Japanese black trifle. That one is going to be a black, not really black, more like purple, paste tomato. It has kind of an interesting shape. It's indeterminate as well. Then the next one is Dark Galaxy. I think that this is a cocktail size. It is indeterminate, and it is multicolored. It's like dark purple, and it has like orange speckles and splotches on it where it looks kind of like a galaxy. I thought that was interesting. Last year I attempted to grow Queen of the Night and I didn't get any because rodents got them all. So this is kind of my substitute for that, hoping I can get a fun cocktail sized tomato that doesn't get eaten by other things that aren't me. The next one is Rosella Cherry. This has been a solid producer for me for years. I'm just going to continue to grow it. Even whenever the temperatures were 109 and the plant was covered in spider mites, I was still getting cherry tomatoes consistently from it. So I stayed in cherry tomatoes all summer last year. Speckled Roman. This is a paste tomato, similar in shape to the Roma. It's red, but it has like different colored yellow or orange like spots on it, hence the speckled. It's an indeterminate variety though, whereas Roma is typically determinate. So the next one is San Marzano, which is a very well-known indeterminate paste tomato. A lot of Italians will tell you that whenever you're making your spaghetti sauce, you should use the San Marzano tomatoes from San Marzano, Italy. Obviously, I am not in Italy, so it's not technically San Marzano from San Marzano, but it's going to be the same style tomato grown in Texas. So we're gonna call it Texas Marzano. Then I'm almost done, guys, I'm so sorry. The next one is one of my favorites. It's Sartre Louise. This one is a yellow tomato with blue shoulders. The first year that I grew it under a shade cloth, so it didn't get as big as I think that it's supposed to, because last year I grew it in one of those raised beds over there, and the fruits got quite a bit bigger. It has a beautiful, like, sweet kind of fruity flavor. It's really juicy. So I'm going to be planting it in the front raised bed there. Super stoked. It's one of my favorites. I love it. I'm going to grow it every year. Woolly Kate, also one of my favorites. The reason why it's one of my favorites is because it's fuzzy. Hold on, let me see if I can find it and I'll show you. Where is it? It's in one of these totes, I know that. Here we go. Okay. Okay, I got it. Okay, so you see these little hairs. It makes the plant fuzzy like a peach, and then the fruit will actually be fuzzy as well. It is another one that is yellow with the blue purple shoulders. It's cocktail size, so it's smaller, but the plant is a pretty decent producer. It's not an overly humongous plant either. Like, it's not going to take over the entire garden space, so I can plant it without worrying, you know, oh my god, is this going to choke out all my other tomato plants? Because it won't. And the fruits taste pretty good. They're kind of fruity, juicy as well, like the Sartre Louise. It's kind of like those, but smaller and fuzzy. Get that back in there because I don't want the wind to knock it over and wreck my day. Okay. And then the next one is Evil Olive. This is another like salad cocktail sized tomato. It's larger. It's actually not even cocktail size. It's like large cherry, but oval shaped, and it's green, and even whenever it's ripe, it's green, but it's like green and red bicolor. And whenever you cut it open, it looks like it's bleeding. It's really cool. It tastes pretty good. It's kind of a firmer tomato, so it holds up in sauces and stuff. Whenever you cook with it, it retains its shape. So if you're looking for like a chunky sauce type tomato, maybe look into that one because it's pretty fun. Then the next one is the best tasting tomato that I have experienced thus far from my garden, and that is the Black Beauty. It is the only truly black tomato that I know of. However, when you cut it open, it's completely red on the inside, so that's kind of a cool experience to see. The next one is Eva Purple Ball. This is just a heat tolerant slicer. Porter is a Texan variety heat tolerant slicer tomato. Both of those are red. Well, the Eva Purple Ball is kind of pink. It's not like a true red, it's like a pink red. Porter is red. The next one is Super Sioux, S-I-O-U-X, as in the Native American tribe. I'm growing this one strictly for salsa use because it tends to have a more acidic profile, and I don't like my salsa to taste too sweet. So that's what that one is being grown for. Creole is another supposedly heat tolerant variety from Louisiana. Costeludo Genovese is one of my top producers for the last 2 years at least. It's kind of a fluted tomato. The plant is really prolific. It doesn't get overly humongous, and the flavor is pretty good. It slices up really interesting. And then Black from Tula, which is just like a purple variety tomato. And then Rebel Starfighter Prime, which let me show those to you. Okay, so where are you at? Oh, here we go. So Rebel Starfighter Prime, I actually had to start over because the first set that I started got sick. It got some sort of fungus or bacteria or something, and both of them unalived. So I have these two new ones, and they look pretty good. They look pretty healthy. They both sprouted from the same container, so I just left them in there. There's not, you know, like an abundance of roots coming out yet, so I'm not too concerned about leaving them together. And then I'll just separate them out whenever I transplant them next week. Hopefully Monday or Tuesday. I will just have to see how long it takes me to get everything amended because your girl has some work ahead of her. Now, like I was saying, in all of those tomato beds, it's going to be companion planted with basil, a ton of basil, marigolds, nasturtium, calendula, and dill. I think that's all of the companion plants going in there. The eggplant that's going into these beds is going to be the Black Beauty eggplant and the Listata de Giandia, or however that is pronounced. I apologize if I butchered that. And then I have 2 types of tomatillos, 4 plants total that are also going there. And the tomatillos can be 1 foot apart, so they're okay. So I have Tomatillo Verde and then Grande Rio Verde Tomatillo. So I don't know if I can convey this correctly, like with the amount of emotion that I truly feel for the amount of love that I have for the hot sauces, the salsas that you get from the taquerias. The red one, I have a recipe for that's pretty solid that we like a lot, but I want to grow the tomatillos so that I can make the green one, because my son Logan and I will just we'll put it on everything. I don't think I really have words to explain how I truly feel about the green, the salsa verde from the taquerias, because it's so good. It's hot. I mean, like, it gets your sinuses dripping, but man, it's so good. And I want to learn how to make it, because once I learn how to make quesadilla tacos, it's all over. I don't ever have to eat out again. So that is the tomato raised bed plans. For the peppers, I don't want to really bore you guys with how, you know, the varieties of peppers and stuff that I'm growing. I think I'll wait until a garden tour video to point them all out. for the most part, for the sweet peppers, it's like multiple plants of each type. So like Purple Beauty Bell is multiple, California Wonder Bell is multiple, and then you know, stuff like that. The hot peppers, mostly a strong focus on serranos and jalapenos of all colors apparently. And then the Buena Mulata, because that's my husband's favorite. And then there's some other ones that you know, are one-offs, onesies, twosies, that are going to be planted as well. Behind the sweet peppers is the tall varieties of okra, and anything from Alabama Red to White Velvet that I have seeds for is going to go into behind the sweet peppers. I am going to get some dwarf okra seeds for that green stalk, for the part that gets blasted by full sun 99% of the day, because I think they'll do well there, and it'll be really cool to just walk out on my patio and harvest okra. The companion plants that are going into the pepper beds, the raised beds where the sweet peppers are, is going to be the same as in the tomato beds. Those same plants work to repel the same pests for peppers and okra. Okra has a problem with aphids, so usually whenever the aphids start swarming in, I have to really spray the plant down heavily, and then it eventually discourages them. Now this green stalk, where the hot peppers are going to go, I have some dwarf basil varieties and some dwarf marigold varieties that I can plant in there. I do have some dwarf nasturtiums to kind of pack in there as well, but the dill gets pretty big, so I don't know if I'll be able to put dill in there. We'll just have to see. We'll have to see on that, because I don't want to like crowd out the pepper plants so much that they're not growing. But I do want to put companion plants in there so I don't battle pests within this green stalk. Hopefully, you know, with them on the patio, there's a lot of human intervention that is a lot easier than going out there. We'll see. I don't know. It's not that far of a walk to get between here and there, so who knows at this point. Okay, but that's all I wanted to catch you guys up on today. Just kind of show you the most recent raised bed that went in. I'm really excited that all three are in now. That's going to make taking care of the tomatoes so much easier. Catch you guys up on where everything's going to be planted, most of what I'm going to be planting, and then, you know, next week I'm taking off work to be able to plant everything out. That includes direct sowing the okra, the squash. I'm also going to be putting bush variety of cucumber in there. I think I'm going to go with Space Master, so that we can make some pickles. Logan and I will chow down on pickles as a snack, no problem. So I'm really excited. There's a lot to do, and then we have to get the plants in, we got to fertilize them, we got to get them well watered, and then we got to get that mulch on. So it's going to be really intense. I'm going to bring you guys along, kind of walk you through everything step by step. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. If you liked this weird and random update video, please like and subscribe, do the YouTube-y things, hit the bell so you know whenever I have new uploads. But other than that, thank you guys so much for joining me, and go find a way to get those garden manicures.